Today is Wednesday, February 8th, 6:53 p.m. My name is Alexander Gordon Barnett. I was the trust, the beneficiary of the Alexander Gordon Barnett Trust, established and dated March 1st, 1985. This trust was established when I was 14 years old by my grandmother for the sake of investing and trading stocks. Again, I was 14 years old. So this trust, I guess, was established, I'm being told, with $500. At its peak, to my knowledge, in 2007, it was at $1.2 million. How it got to that point, I don't know, but we'll see in a moment where it was in 2009. Half, under $600,000. So, and I was dragged into that crash as I was 2020 and 2022. Also, nothing was done when the Twin Towers hit. I'm sure he got out. He did not get me out. What I'm about to show you is that I've been intentionally decimated. The trades were made in the exact opposite of my best interest, and then the money was siphoned off to the people who were supposed to be protecting me and my mother. So with that, let's start going through this trust agreement. And I think what we'll also do is we'll pull up legalese and translate this as we go. But the thing that we want to mention first is Article 1. The instrument and the trust created hereby shall be irrevocable and unamendable. Why? Because people were going to try to fuck with it, and I was being protected by my mother, the grantor. The trustee has violated his fiducial duty. We're talking about gross negligence, malicious gross negligence, violation of the duty of loyalty, the duty of trust, the duty of care, the duty to protect trust property, and the list goes on. And we'll get more into that later. So, this instrument and the trust created hereby shall be irrevocable and unamendable. I don't know where that leaves any room for interpretation. Article 2. Any person at any time may add to the principal of the trust estate by will or by gift or by designating the trust as the beneficiary of any life insurance policy, money, securities, and all other property, such as my mother's, and when delivered or conveyed to the trustee, all such property shall be held by the trustee subject to the terms of this trust. This trust shall be construed and administered according to the laws of the state of Illinois. The trust herein created shall be known as the Alexander Gordon Barnett Trust. Not Trust 1, Trust. Article 3. 3.01. Until the beneficiary attains the age of 30, at least quarterly, the trustee shall pay or use for the benefit of the beneficiary so much of the income and principal from such trust as the trustee alone determines to be required for the beneficiary's reasonable comfort, support, maintenance, and education, adding to the principal any income not so paid. 3.02. As the beneficiary attains the age of 30, the trustee shall pay all of the income to the beneficiary and such amounts of the principal as the trustee alone determines to be required for the beneficiary's reasonable comfort, support, maintenance, education, provided, however, that if the beneficiary is incapacitated, the trustee may withhold such amounts of income and principal as the trustee determines not to be necessary for the reasonable comfort, support, maintenance, and education of the beneficiary, and any amounts so withheld shall be added to the principal. 3.03. After the beneficiary attained the age of 40, he may from time to time withdraw amounts not exceeding in the aggregate 1/3 of the market value of the trust on the date upon which the first request is made. After the beneficiary has attained the age of 45, he may withdraw amounts not exceeding the aggregate 1/2 of the market value of the trust, exclusive of the amount already subject to withdrawal. On the date upon which the first request is made after attaining the age of 45. After attaining the age of 50, he may withdraw any part or all of such trust. Any right of withdrawal shall exist only if the beneficiary is not incapacitated, and only while exercised voluntarily by the beneficiary upon his written request. 3.04. Upon the death of the beneficiary prior to the complete distribution of this trust, the principal and any accrued and undistributed income shall be distributed to such persons, including the beneficiary's estate, in such manner and portions as the beneficiary may appoint by his will, making specific references to this general power of appointment. 3.05. If the beneficiary dies before the entire trust becomes distributable, except to the extent that he has effectively exercised the foregoing power of appointment, the trustee shall, subject to the withholding provisions of Article 4, distribute the balance of the trust to the then living descendants of the beneficiary, per stirpes, or if no descendant of his is then living, to then living descendants per stirpes of his nearest lineal ancestor who was a descendant of the grantor, and of whom any descendant is then living, or if no such descendant is living, to Hebrew University, Jerusalem, Israel, to endow the Sigmund Freud Chair. Withstanding or any other provision of this instrument, the beneficiary shall have the absolute right, as hereafter provided, to demand from the trust the amount of any gift addition to the trust estate which occurs during any calendar year. The beneficiary shall reasonably be notified by the trustee that the trust had received an addition as to which the beneficiary has a demand right. The demand right of the beneficiary shall be non-cumulative and shall lapse upon the latter of the last day of the trust year during which the addition was received, or 60 days after receipt by the beneficiary of the notice of addition herein above required. I don't know what that means, or if that even happened, because I haven't been told shit. The demand right shall be exercisable only by a written instrument executed by the beneficiary or the guardian of the beneficiary, if the beneficiary is for any reason under a legal disability to exercise the demand right. We're going to have to go through this with legalese and understand what all of this means, but we'll do that, and we'll do that live in real time. So, Article 4. Wherever the termination of the trust under this instrument of the trustee is directed to distribute any share of the trust to any person who is under the age of 30 years old or is incapacitated, then the trustee shall hold the share of such person in a separate trust for the following purposes. At least quarterly, the trustee shall pay all of the net income to the beneficiary. Net income, there's supposed to be income, to the beneficiary, and such amounts of the principal as the trustee deems necessary for his reasonable comfort, his or mine, reasonable comfort, support, maintenance, and education, and the best interest, provided, however, that if and so long as the beneficiary has not attained majority or is incapacitated. What does majority mean? Attain majority. Or is incapacitated, the trustee may withhold such amounts of income as the trustee determines not to be necessary for such purposes, as any income thus withheld shall be added to the principal. The trustee shall distribute the balance of the trust to the beneficiary when he's attained the age of 30, provided, however, that the beneficiary provided, however, that if the beneficiary is incapacitated, the trustee shall make no distribution under this subparagraph as long as such incapacity continues, but shall continue to distribute income in principle in accordance with 4A. If the beneficiary dies before the entire trust becomes distributable, the trustee shall distribute the balance of the trust to or in trust for such persons, including the beneficiary's estate, in such manner as portions as the beneficiary may appoint by his will, making specific reference to this general power of appointment. Okay, so my will. Where's my mom's will? How come I haven't seen it? How come I've only seen this document that says third restatement, amendments, etc. signed PDF? Where are the previous two? This was done in 2007. And we know there were shady things going on in 2007, such as the rewriting of my trust and Mickey joining the board and of directors and finance committee of the same place that all of a sudden donations started going, and then after Mom died, extraordinary amounts of donations and odd numbers started going there. We'll get into that also later. So, general power of appointment. D, if the beneficiary dies before the entire trust becomes distributable, except to the extent that he effectively exercised the foregoing power of appointment. Don't know what that means. The trustee shall, subject to the provisions of this Article 4, distribute the balance of the trust to the living descendants of the beneficiary per stirps, or if no descendant of his is then living, then the living descendants per stirps of this nearest. Did we just read this? To the living. Wait. And if no descendant of his is then living, then to the living descendants per stirps is his nearest lineal ancestor, who was a descendant of the grantor, and of whom any descendant is now living, or if no such descendant is living, to Hebrew University to endow the Sigmund Freud chair. I think I read that before in 4. I don't know. On to 5. Okay. The trustee may be named as the beneficiary of any. Ooh, Jesus Christ! Look at this. Look how he wrote this. The trustee may be named as a beneficiary of any life insurance policy, except in respect to life insurance policies that may be owned by the trustee. The trustee shall not be obliged or required to pay any premiums, assessments, or other charges with respect to any such life insurance policies, or to keep himself informed with respect to the status of same. Upon death of the insured, that would be me if I even have life insurance. This is 85. He had me sent to this place where people commit suicide in 1991. Interesting, life insurance policy. So he was trying to get me to commit suicide all these years. The trustee shall, upon the death of the insured, me, the trustee shall make every reasonable effort to collect the proceeds of the life insurance policies and other death benefits, which are then payable to the trustee, or may exercise any optional mode of settlement available. The trustee is empowered to take any and all actions with respect to the collection of such proceeds and death benefits, which he deems best, and to pay all expenses thereby incurred out of the trust estate, provided, however, the trustee shall not be required to enter into and maintain any litigation connected with the same unless, wow, this is fucked up, unless and until he has been indemnified to his satisfaction against any and all expenses, costs, and liabilities which thereby may be incurred. The trust in 5.02, the trustee is further empowered to compromise, settle, or adjust claims in connection with the collection of such proceeds of death benefits as the trustee deems best, and to give each insurance company or other payer or any and all receipts or releases which such insurance company or other payer may require in order to fully discharge all of its liabilities under such life insurance policies, or with respect to the payment of such death benefits. So he collects on my death if something happened. Well, that's interesting. No insurance company need to inquire. No insurance 5.03. No insurance company need to inquire into or take notice of this instrument or see to the application of the payment of any proceeds under any policy. Holy shit, that sounds fucking devious and self-serving. For all purposes under this instrument, I can't wait to see how the legalese thing translates this. For all purposes under this instrument, adoption of a child shall have the same effect as such a child being born to the adopting parent, but only if such child was a minor at the time of the adoption. Why would I be adopting an adult? What kind of weird shit is this? B. Except for the distribution where distribution is directed to descendants per stirpes of a person, or the word descendants includes descendants of every degree, whether born, wherever born. Hang on. Wait, what just happened? What just happened? Wait, stop. Okay, here we go. Except where distribution is directed to the descendants per stirpes of a person, it's like herpes, of a person. The word descendants includes descendants of every degree, whether born, whenever born, whether or not a parent or more remote ancestor of such decedent is living, where distribution is directed to any person's descendants per stirpes who are living at a designated point of time. What the fuck does that mean? The stirpes shall begin with the children of such person, whether or not any child of his is then living. What does that mean? Descendants of the grantor's parents, that's my grandparents, shall include only descendants of the marriage of such parents. Any person shall be considered incapacitated. Oh, here we go. Here we go, Lefty. Let's see. Except for okay, Article 6, for all purpose under this instrument. You know, I didn't even know what an instrument was until I started trading a month ago and explained to me what that was a musical term or a medical device. All right, incapacitated. Let's see how he's. Britney Spears. Any person shall be considered incapacitated. 1, if and as long as he is adjudicated disabled because he's unable to manage his estate or financial matters. Or 2, if doctors familiar with his physical and mental condition. Oh, okay. Certified to the trustee in writing that a person is unable to transact ordinary business, and until there is a like certification to the trustee that such incapacity has ended. So he's already trying to have me committed or sent to the family when this was written. D, where appropriate, words of the masculine gender include the feminine, and the words used in plural or collective sense include the singular and vice versa. Wow, we're already talking about masculine gender and feminine gender and words in plural and pronouns in 1985? He wrote this. I mean, my mom's not the attorney. Terry wrote this. The word trustee includes any successor trustee or trustees, meaning there was, certainly room for that. My trust did not have to be divested before he retired. All right, successor trustees. And trust 1. It's not trust 2 we're talking about. This is trust 1. F, except for otherwise provided in this instrument, income accrued or collected but not distributed at the termination of any beneficial interest hereunder shall be treated as if it had accrued or been collected after the termination of such interest. The trustee may charge any such income with any accrued taxes, expenses, or compensation which it considers proper. Who's it? The trustees? It means he can do whatever the fuck he wants to do in this? He wrote this, remember. So in determining, him and Terry wrote this, in determining what amounts are necessary for the support of any person, the trustee shall take into account, 1, the standard of living to which the person is accustomed. My grandmother lived on Park Avenue, and I grew up in a high-rise overlooking Lincoln Park and in private schools. I was accustomed to a lot. His obligations, if to support others. The obligation of the ability or others to support him. How about that? My mother, her foundation, her trusts, her will that got rewritten or whatever. 4, other income available for his support as far as known to trustee. Now, he knew what other was coming, and he had that changed. I need to see the rewrite of my mom's trust, number 1. I need to see the previous revisions, the original writing of it. In determining any testimony power of appointment has been exercised, the trustee may rely on an instrument admitted to probate in jurisdiction. Wait a second. Those rewrites, that's why nobody's coming to help. Okay. The trustee may rely on an instrument admitted to probate in any jurisdiction. Wait, hang on. In determining whether any testamentary power of appointment has been exercised, I don't know what that means, the trustee may rely on an instrument admitted to probate in any jurisdiction as the will of the donee of the power. The fuck does that mean? If the trustee has no written notice of the existence of such a will within 3 months after the death of the donee of power, the trust may assume that the donee died intestate. I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming this benefits him somehow. The paragraph shall not be limit any right of any person against anyone to whom the trustee has distributed property in reliance thereon. Okay, we need to go and look that up also. The word persons include corporations. What does that mean? S01e03. No interest or income or principal. No interest in income or principal in any trust under this instrument shall be assignable to any voluntary or involuntary act of a beneficiary or the operation of law, or by operation of law, nor shall any such interest be liable to be taken for any obligation, including any obligation to pay alimony or child support of any beneficiary. Okay. Anything in this 6.03, anything in this instrument to the contrary notwithstanding, each trust under this instrument which is still in existence 21 years after the death of the last to die of all the descendants of the grantor living at the date when the period of the rule against perpetuities commenced to run shall terminate, and the trustee shall distribute the trust to the income beneficiary. I'm assuming that's me. What's the rule against perpetuities? Commenced. Whenever the 6.04, whenever upon the termination of any trust created under this will, the trustee is directed to distribute any share of the trust to any person who is then an income beneficiary of a trust created under this will. Any share otherwise distributable to him shall be added to such trust and administered and distributed as part of thereof. If at any time the trustee is holding any trust under this instrument for the primary benefit of any person or persons for whose primary benefit the trustee is holding any other instrument upon substantiality, the same terms created by the grantor or any other person under this instrument or any other instrument, the trustee may in its discretion commingle them and hold them as a single trust. Wait a sec, this is bullshit. Well, who would sign this and why? And why would my mother sign this and what? What does that mean? We're coming back with legalese. 6.06. Whenever the trustee is required to or has the discretion to provide for the education of any beneficiary, that's me, such education shall include primary, secondary, trade schools, college, universities, professional, and graduate schools, religious and vocational schools, any or all of which may be either private or public. My mother was fond of the notion of education, wanted me to do stuff and be smart. Why? So I could pump coffee at Starbucks? I don't think so. She wanted me to build stuff. That's vocational schools, trade schools, secondary schools, college, universities, professional, and graduate schools. 6.07. I chose comedy after Mom died because I couldn't find a way to smile or deal with regular people. So 6.07. Whenever the trustee is required to and has the discretion to provide for the support of any beneficiary, the trustee shall take into consideration the manner and the standard of living to which the beneficiary shall have been accustomed. Have been? The beneficiary's station at life at such time, the beneficiary's need for funds to assist him in the establishment of his business or profession, and the other available income to the beneficiary known to the trustee. What does that say? Let's do this one again. Whenever the trustee is required to or has the discretion to provide for the support of any beneficiary, the trustee shall take into consideration the manner and standard of living to which such beneficiaries shall have been accustomed. The beneficiary's station of life at such time, the beneficiary's need for funds to assist him in the establishment of his business or profession. So that's VR in 2016, 17, 18, and Friends Over 50, which he shut down in 2007. 6. And other available income to the beneficiary known to the trustee. Fuck me, this is... What a dick.
Citizen now. Legitimate. Businessman. I heard about your endeavor. Some kind of support group thing for dying fags or something.
Something.
I spent all my time with these two fucking morons. My village idiot son. I miss my wife, Jimmy. You remember Cynthia?
Beautiful lady. Special.
Thank God she never had to see me like this. Look at you. You got a lady?
No.
That's because you're hanging around with the virus breeders, Jimmy. VBs. You into that yet? Biting a pillow?
No.
You will. It's a liberal thing. One day you're saving a rainforest, next you're chugging cock. Am I wrong?
Talk to me, will you?
So long, goodbye. I'll see you when I see you. You can pick the street, I'll meet you on the other side. So long, goodbye. Do I really have to finish? Do returns always diminish? Did I say that right? Does anybody want to joke when no one's laughing in the background? So this is how it ends. You promise to make me rich and be my friend. So long. Bye. I'm slowly losing power. Has it only been an hour? No, that can't be right. So long. Goodbye. Hey, here's a fresh idea. How about I sit on the couch and I watch you decline? I wanna hear you tell a joke when no one's laughing in the background. So this is how it ends. I promise to never go outside again. Am I going crazy? Would I even know? Am I right back where I started 14 years ago? Wanna guess the ending, if it ever does. I swear to God that all I ever wanted was a little bit of everything, all of the time. A bit of everything, all of the time. Apathy's a tragedy and boredom is a crime. I'm finished playing and I'm staying inside. If I wake up in a house that's full of smoke, I'll panic. Call me up and tell me a joke. When I'm fully irrelevant and totally broke, then damn it, call me up and tell me a joke. Oh shit, you're really joking at a time like this. Around the sun, only one does the sun embrace, and upon this watered one, so much we take for granted. So let us sleep outside tonight, laid down in our mother's arms, for here we can rest safely. And if green should turn to gray, would our hearts still bloody be? And if the mountains should crumble away and rivers dry, would it stop the stepping feet? Oh, let us sleep outside tonight, laid down in our mother's arms, for here we can rest safely. Take all that we can get when it's done. Nobody left to bury here, nobody left to dig the holes, and here we can rest safely. Sweet world, around this star is spinning. One sweet world, and in her breath we're swimming, and here we will rest in peace. Stunning AK resolution meditation app in honor of the revolution. It's half off at the Gap. Deadpool self-awareness, loving parents, harmless fun. The backlash to the backlash to the thing that's just begun. There it is again, that funny feeling, that funny feeling. There it is again, that funny feeling, that funny feeling. The Surgeon General's pop-up shop, Robert Iger's face. Discount Etsy agitprop, Bugles take on race. Female Colonel Sanders, easy answer, Civil War. The whole world at your fingertips, the oceans at your door. The live-action Lion King, the Pepsi halftime show. 20,000 years of this, 7 more to go. Carpool karaoke, Steve Aoki, Logan Paul. A gift shop at the gun range, a mass shooting at the mall. There it is again, that funny feeling, that funny feeling. There it is again, that funny feeling, that funny feeling. Reading Pornhub's terms of service, going for a ride. obeying all the traffic laws, Grand Theft Auto 5, full agoraphobic, losing focus, cover blown. A book on getting better, hand delivered by a drone. Total disassociation, fully out your mind. Googling derealization, hating what you find. That unapparent summer air in early fall. The quiet comprehending of the ending of it all. There it is again, that funny feeling. That funny feeling. There it is again, that funny feeling. That funny feeling. Hey, what do you say? We were overdue, but it'll be over soon. You wait. Hey, what do you say? We were overdue, but it'll be over soon. Just wait. Ba-da-da. Hey, what do you say? We were overdue, but it'll be over soon. You wait. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da. Hey, what do you say? We were overdue. Oh, it'll be over soon. You wait. Hey, what do you say? We were overdue. Too soon. Sometimes I lay under the moon and thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I'm here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. It's not about win or lose, 'cause we all lose when we feed on the souls of the innocent. Blood-drenched pavement, keep on moving though the waters stay raging. In this maze you can lose your way. It might drive you crazy, but don't let it faze you. No way, no way. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for my people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. One day this will all change. We'll treat people all the same. One day we'll all be free and be proud to be under this, singing songs like freedom, like one day, 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 one day. I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Where were we? Sorry, folks. Where were we? 7? Aha. First Derbies, Article 6. You're gonna help me with my business, right? First something, right? Born? No, it's not a mental condition. Certify. So he's already plotting. Masculine, gender, feminine. Yeah, that was hilarious. Alright. Collect after determination of such interest. What other eyes would it? Testament. Oh, okay. Testamentary power. We don't know what that means. We gotta come back. 6-5. Did we get 6-5? Distribute. Termination. Create under this will. Oh, this will. So this is my mother's will. Okay, because she didn't expect. She thought she was gonna die because she'd already been through a round of breast cancer before I was born, so she didn't really expect to live past my 10th birthday. So here we are. So I have at any time trade schools. Okay, Article 7. Terry Chapman, Daddy 1, Daddy 2, Harris Bank, Joan and Irving Harris, and then Northern Trust. Doesn't say anything here about the Devon Bank. 7-2. After giving all of his money to Israel and all my money to Israeli-based things, now all of a sudden he sticks me with the bank that gives religious loans. I don't understand it. I don't have a problem. Good luck. God bless you. That should have nothing to do with me. I've been hosed here. 702. Any trustee may resign or release any powers conferred by this instrument by giving 60 days written notice to the co-trustee, if any, and to all adult income beneficiaries. 60 days written notice. That means before. For the purposes of this article, any person who is 18 years of age or over and is not incapacitated to whom the trustee is then directed to authorize to pay income is an adult income beneficiary. An adult income beneficiary. I don't know what that means. We need to understand what that means. If there is no such beneficiary, written notice shall be given to the legal guardian or conservator. There is no legal guardian. There is no conservator. I've been a grown-ass man since he enslaved me in upstate New York in 1991. If any, or if none, to a near adult relative of each minor or incapacitated beneficiary. Why would there be a majority of the persons entitled to such notice may remove a corporate trustee by giving 60 days written notice of such corporate trustee, fill any vacancy caused by the resignation or removal of corporate trustee, and without liability to themselves, approve the accounts of and release such trustees, ceasing to act for any reason. Approve the accounts of and release such trustees, ceasing to act for any reason. Such approval and release shall be binding upon all persons with the same effect as though such accounts were approved by a court of competent jurisdiction, but not enlarge or shift the beneficial interest of any beneficiary. Again, don't know what that means. Each successor trustee appointed to fill a vacancy caused by the resignation or removal of a corporate trustee shall be another corporation organized under the laws of the United States or any state thereof, having a capital and surplus of, if not less than, $20 million. I don't know what that means and why that would be included in there, but as far as I'm concerned, that's a drop in the bucket as far as what you, in pain and suffering, let alone lost opportunity costs and what my trust should have made. So where is it? 7.03. Without any conveyance or order of court, any successor trustee shall have all the powers granted to the original trustee and shall assume all of the duties imposed upon the original trustee. No successor trustee shall have any responsibility to inquire into the acts of the predecessor trustee, nor shall any successor trustee be liable for the act or omission of any predecessor trustee of which the successor trustee has no actual knowledge. Well, Terry, who's supposed to be the successor trustee, knows. Steve Lewis at the bank knows, because I've informed him and I've clearly documented this for him. Now, in regard to without conveyance or order of court, any successor shall have all the powers granted to the original trustees and shall assume all the duties imposed by the original trustee. No successor trustee shall have a responsibility to inquire into the acts of any predecessor. Well, that's convenient, isn't it? Now, whose benefit was this written for? I'm 14 years old when this was written. My mom, I'm sure, was not explained to this and did not have access to a computer to Google what this meant. She trusted these people. Any person may, without liability on the written certification of a successor trustee, that a successor trustee has been duly appointed and has the power to act. Now, this thing was supposed to be released to me already. It would not be a trust any longer if I had the ability to withdraw and this thing hadn't been rewritten. Now, again, 7.04. Except as otherwise provided in this instrument, the trustee shall have the following administrative and investment powers, and any others granted by law with respect to each trust created by this instrument to be exercised without order of any court as the trustee determines to be in the best interest of the beneficiaries. Now, we saw what just happened here or we're about to see what happened at the end of the year, which is obviously not in the best interest of anybody except the lawyers and the guy who's going to be getting the kickback from the lawyer after selling my shares at the bottom market after allegedly he retired. So, we'll get to that in a minute. Best interest of the beneficiaries, that's me. A, to sell a contract to sell and grant options to purchase any part or all of the trust estate, including any works of art, at public or private sale, like my mother's, for cash or on credit, to write covered options, I don't know what that means, and to exchange any part or all of the trust estate for other property, as in real estate? B, to enter into leases for any period of time to existing beyond the termination of the trust, to grant or release easements, to subdivide, improve, give consents, enter into contracts relating to real estate and its use, and dedicate any interest in real estate. Next, borrow money either from banking department of any corporate trustee or others to mortgage, pledge, or otherwise encumber any part or all of the trust, even though the obligation may extend through the termination of any such trust. That's real estate, which I've been denied. That's the American dream, motherfuckers. D, to designate or appoint a trustee to act in any other jurisdiction as sole trustee or co-trustee, so that we could have had a co-trustee overseeing this, of any part of the or all of the trust estate located in such other jurisdiction. What does that mean? Afghanistan? To confer upon the appointed trustee any or all of the rights, powers, and duties of appointing trustee, and to remove appointed trustee and appoint another, including the appointing trustee. We need to look what that means, because that sounds like, I think, what, we all know what we think that means. Anyway, to enter into agreements for bank and other deposit accounts, safety deposit boxes, custodian, agency, other depository arrangements for all and any part of the state trust. Is that with or without my knowledge? And why, maybe I should be the one be doing this. It's at a reasonable age, and not the trustee. To exercise all rights and powers of individual owner with respect to shares of stocks, bonds, and other securities in the trust estate, stock, bonds, and other securities. Forex, gold, silver, hard assets, real estate in the trust estate, including but not by way of limitation, voting, giving proxies, participating in voting trusts, mergers, consolidations, foreclosures. That's real estate again. Reorganizations or liquidations, which I've been saying to do for the past 2 years. And exercising or selling subscription or conversion rights. I don't know what any of that means, but it sounds fucking shady. And in his best interest, not mine. G, pay taxes and reasonable expenses incurred in administering of the trust estate, to appoint attorneys, auditors, financial advisors. Appoint financial advisors. I thought he was the financial advisor, the director of financial planning for North Star Investment Management. Appraisers and other such agents to pay reasonable compensation to such appointees, meaning his friends. He can write checks to anybody he feels like, and I have no right to complain. H, to delegate to a co-trustee for any period of time any or all of the trustee's rights and powers. To compromise, contest, prosecute, or abandon claims and other charges in favor of or against the estate. To compromise, contest. What the hell does this mean? To execute contracts, notes, conveyances, and other instruments, whether or not containing covenants and warranties binding upon and creating a charge against the trust estate, including personal liability. I don't know what that means. We have to find out. To receive and administer additional property as part of the trust estate. What does that mean? To invest in or hold undivided interest in property. Real estate, property, right? M, to deal with the executor, trustee, or representative of any other trust or estate in which the beneficiary of the trust estate has an interest, notwithstanding the fact that any trustee is an executor, trustee, or other representative of the trust or estate. Man, I'm getting tired here. And to make equitable division or distribution in cash or in any kind or both and create that, and for that purpose, the value any property divided or distributed in kind. Property, again, real estate. Mom wanted me to own my own home. She did not want me like this. To rely on an affidavit, certificate, letter, or evidence reasonably believed to be genuine, and on basis of any such evidence to make any payment or distribution in good faith without liability. Without liability, again. To have all the rights and powers of duties given to or imposed upon the trustee by law and the provisions of the trust instrument during the period between the termination of the trust and the distribution thereof, and during any period in which any litigation is pending. Litigation, I have the right to litigate, is pending, which may be void or invalidate the trust in whole or in part, or affect the rights, powers, duties, or discretions of the trustee, except as otherwise directed by the court. You do not understand how your trust works. To purchase and keep in force insurance of an appropriate nature and form in a reasonable amount for the protection of the trust estate or the ownership thereof. R. To distribute income in discretionary amounts of principal in such or more of one of the following ways as the trustee believes to be for the best interest of the beneficiary, who's at the time the distribution is under legal disability, or the sole opinion of the trustee is unable to properly manage the affairs of illness, physical or mental disability, or any other cause. Well, that's very convenient. So the trustees is going to solely determine whether... No. And he's, this same guy had me trying to get me to commit suicide. 3 years, David Berg. Hell. 1, directly to the beneficiary. 2, to a duly appointed guardian or conservator of the beneficiary. I do not have a guardian. I do not have an appointed conservator. I never have, except Mickey decided he was going to do that anyway. To a custodian, Britney Spears. To a custodian for the beneficiary of the Uniform Gifts to Minors Act. Not a minor. To the adult relative of the beneficiary. Nope. By expending the money or using the property directly for the benefit of the beneficiary, and the trustee is not required to see to the application of any distribution so made. Don't know what that means, but it sounds self-serving. S, to invest and reinvest the trust estate in any property, including common trust funds, without being limited to the usual rules of law with respect to what ordinary are considered proper investments. Wait, what? Where trustees are subject or being subject to a duty to diversify and the trust investment, to purchase life insurance on the life of any beneficiary, to make loans to any person or entity, including any beneficiary. So what, to other people and not me? And then to hold any asset in the name of a nominee in bearer form or otherwise without disclosure of any fiduciary relationship. Now, what the fuck does that mean? And how does that benefit me, the beneficiary? This was written not for my benefit. This is for somebody else. All right, let's keep going here. T. To continue operation, management, and development of any business interest included in the trust aid, and to employ such personnel, including an individual trustee, as the trustee considers advisable in the conduct of any such business, and with appropriate compensation for such services without personal liability by any reason of having done so. To increase or decrease the investment in any such business, to make secured and unsecured loans to such business, and pledge such property for the debts of the business. What the fuck does that mean? And whose benefit is that? To make joint investments for any two trusts or shares to hold the several shares of the trust estate as a common fund, dividing the income proportionately among them, and to assign undivided interest to several shares. To have, with respect to the trust estate, all of the rights and powers of an individual owner with respect to his own property, and to perform any and all other acts with which the trustee considers advisable and administrative of the trust hereby created. W. Determine in a fair and equitable manner, without being limited by any applicable statute at the time of the determination how receipts and disbursements shall be credited or charged between income and principal, and to set aside reasonable reserves for depreciation. To make elections by which the trustee may make under the federal, state, and local tax laws the trustee deems proper without adjustment between the principal and income, and the trustee's decision to make any such election. Such shall be binding on all beneficiaries. To terminate at the discretion of the trustee any trust under this instrument having a value of less than $10,000, and distribute the trust to the income beneficiary or beneficiaries then receiving or entitled to receive the net income from such trust in equal shares. I need a break. I've got a headache. The beneficiaries. That should be noted. That's me. No person paying money or delivering any property to the trustee need to see its application, and no person dealing with the trustee shall be obligated to inquire into the terms of this instrument or the necessary expediency of any act of the trustee. That sounds like self-dealing right there. What exactly does that mean? We'll have to come back and look this up. The trustee shall render an account of its receipts, statement of the assets and purchase disbursements comprising the trust estate at least semi-annually to each adult income beneficiary and to the guardian of the estate of any minor income beneficiary. Trust 708. The fuckers. Any trustee shall be entitled to reasonable compensation for services in administering and distributing the trust property and to reimburse for expenses. What about being penalized for doing the exact opposite? That's the hell sounds like that's pretty. It's not designed to protect me. Anyways, 709. No surety or other security shall be required on any bond furnished by any trustee in any jurisdiction for any purposes. No idea what that means. We'll come back with that one later. 710. Anything herein to the contrary, notwithstanding, the trustee shall not have any right, power, discretion, or privilege which may cause property conveyed by the trustee or by any other person to the trust to be included in the trustee's gross estate for federal estate tax purposes. 711. This instrument may be executed in any number of counterparts. Each shall be deemed an original. This trust is hereby signed by the grantor and accepted by the trustee on this day and year first above written. You guys like to get fancy with this language, don't you? So, Schedule A, grantor here makes the following gift to the trust, $500 in cash.